We are Tailgate Talk. Welcome into the show. I'm Matt Thomas. With me, as always, we've got Kyle Mulwiney, Trent Williams, Kyle Schumann, coming to you to recap a 30-0 Penn State shutout win over Maryland, and then look forward to a likely similar outcome against Rutgers on Saturday. So, boys, how are we feeling about the matchup against Maryland?
I mean, that was just an ass kicking start to finish.
The team found its groove. I mean, we're looking good.
I agree. I think it's been a big turnaround since that embarrassing loss to Michigan.
We're not even talking about that anymore. We're moving on. Bigger and better things. Maryland's more important anyway. It's a rivalry game, sort of. We kicked the shell out of them.
One of my favorite pastimes the past 2 seasons just beating the crap out of Maryland, and I think it's just we're just that team that we just have their number every single time. So,
well, every single time, but 2020.
Yeah.
Oh. So you can't.
Kyle acts like that was 30 years ago every time he brings this up.
That's in the past. That's in the past.
No, it's fun. When he mentioned that Michigan game, and after the win this weekend, it was probably the first time that I looked back to that Michigan game. I'm like, I wish we could have that one back. Because like the way this team is playing right now, I know the opponents we are playing are not very good. We can't control who's on our schedule, but I think we're playing some of the best football we've played all season. I would love another crack at Michigan right now. I still don't think we beat them, but we certainly don't get embarrassed like we did.
I agree with that.
I mean, you even look back like, okay, so we lost to Michigan. Then I got the scores up here. Minnesota, 45-17, we win. We lost to Ohio State at the very end. That kind of fell apart. But Indiana, we beat them 45-14. And then Maryland, 30-0. It's like they're putting up points and really getting after it.
I appreciate you taking my last call question 1 minute and 15 seconds into the episode. So
that was a pleasure.
That's at least
now you get to
Trent,
be in my
no, Trent, my question was going to be, do you think any of those matchups are different now after this last month? So
now you're in my shoes for once and you got to think of one. And
well, the difference is I just didn't forget. They had one, it just got taken.
No, I was talking to my dad about the game yesterday. And I think we were just talking like how we said like Manny Diaz runs an aggressive defense. And I think by the time these young guys get the full grasp of the defense, obviously we're putting a lot of freshmen, sophomores on defense and everything, and rotating a lot of guys in. I think now you're seeing that, we're pinning our ears back on the D line, just loading them loose. And Chop showed out against his former team, had 2 sacks, and it was just again, clean old ass kicking start to finish. So.
Yeah, I mean, we act like Manny Diaz has been here for several years. I mean, it really is his first season. So, I mean, I think he's done very well so far.
He might not be here much longer.
The defense has been suffocating. I mean, it's been nasty all year against every single opponent except Michigan. I mean, that it is the one outlier to offense, to defense, to everything.
Well, 67 minutes, Michigan, and then the last 7 against Ohio State. So.
Yeah, but I mean, we went through that. I mean, a lot of that stuff at the end there was sort of fluky. I mean, the debate was today on Dusty and Danny. They were that North Carolina is not getting more respect than Penn State. They feel like North Carolina should be getting more respect than Penn State. But I think the part that they're ignoring is like they're just looking at our schedule, but not looking at the way we're beating our opponents. Like, we don't have a great win on our schedule, but we've been kicking the crap out of a lot of teams.
Well, I mean, also, it's the ACC. Like, who has North Carolina played? I think North Carolina is one of the better teams in the country. I have a bet in on Drake May to win the Heisman. Like, he's playing lights out. But who have they played?
Matt Thomas bets? Wait, you bet, Matt?
Well,
what happened to no Vice Matt?
Threw it in a little bit when I saw how well Drake May was playing. So I've got to get that Ramen Noodle Express picks in too. But if Penn State played in the ACC, we'd be undefeated. Like we would be undefeated, top 3 team in the country at this rate. So, but it like you said, it's the style in which we're beating these teams too. Like it's just complete domination. Maryland in the. Go ahead.
Take away Northwestern. I mean, that was just an ugly game weather-wise. It was downpour start to finish. Every other team that we should beat, we took care of business.
Maryland in the first half had 27 plays for 27 yards. I forgot to do the math. Coco, what's how many yards per play is that?
I didn't even hear your stats.
27 plays, 27 yards.
Matt, that's very small yards per play.
So I was looking. I took a picture of the scoreboard to start the third quarter, and they had it on the video board. Maryland had 4 first down with 7 rushing yards and 20 passing yards. I mean, it was for a good chunk of the first quarter they were in negative yardage.
Yep, they had their first 2 drives went for negative 18 yards, and then they had 16 yards on the next 2 drives combined, and then another negative 17. They had 143-yard drive, and that was the only thing that kept them in the plus for the first half. But it was like Indiana all over again. And the thing that stood out to me about that defensive performance is obviously if you watch the game, there are players that stand out. Chop, stands out. Carter had a great game. But if you look at the stat line, no one really stands out. Like nobody had double-digit tackles. Granted, that's because it was a blowout and you get more players in. But if you're looking at it up and down, it was just an all-around solid game on the defensive end.
Yeah, and staying on that topic quick, I mean, I know there were some guys on the sideline. Did anyone hear anything else about Joey Porter Jr., why we didn't see him suited up?
Franklin said after the game that it was a non-football injury situation.
I heard that. I didn't know if there was any more details that came out though.
No. You're not going to find anything.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think
he was sidelined though, right? Like he was at the game on the sideline.
Yeah.
I seen I think Mark Brennan does the post-game video where he just like walks around the field for all the handshakes and all. I'm pretty sure I seen Joey Porter and Franklin talking it up like during the alma mater. Like it didn't seem like it was anything he'd be disciplinary for, as if like he did something stupid and got himself hurt. Like you hear in the NFL with some of these guys, like during the season, they'll go ride a dirt bike and hurt themselves and stuff like that.
Fireworks in the off season.
Blow off your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, though, I wouldn't be shocked if we've seen Joey Porter Jr. play for the last time. Like, depending on how serious it is, Rutgers, Michigan State, like maybe the bowl game. I don't know.
Yeah. It depends on that bowl game. I mean, Joey Porter Jr., though, is obviously one of the highest draftable players we have out there. So,
well, I think on the flip side, you want to
he's
see
in a category of his own.
The NFL, like depending on like what the discipline was, like maybe obviously they'll get the details of like what happened, but like if it wasn't too egregious, maybe he will play. Like we'll find out this week.
It was an injury. It's not. I read it as disciplinary the first time too, but it was an injury.
Okay.
Yeah. I meant like it didn't seem like it would be an injury that would result in like him being in bad standing with the team. As like, why would you do something dumb like that during the middle of football season? I mean, that's just such a broad category. Like it could be literally anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think like the way it was phrased, injury and not medical. If it was medical, like that sort of leads you to believe like an illness or something came up at like, with doctors more or less, but injury seems like it's more like a freak thing that happened.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, again, this is actually a good transition point to go flip over to the offensive side of the ball, because again, you have a patchwork, if you want to call it that, offensive line with 3 more starters out. Tangwall is out for the year. Olu's out. Caden Wallace is out, and didn't really skip a beat. I mean, it's one thing. Again, I understand that it's Maryland and Indiana, but they're not just treading water; they're dominating the line of scrimmage.
And I feel like
there's still Big Ten programs too, right? It's not like what we said before when we were playing some of the lesser opponents in the beginning of the year. I mean, there's still Big Ten programs. I mean, I don't know. In Maryland, with all the hype around them, I expected them to give us more of a fight, especially in the trenches.
I also feel like this is a game last year where we don't have that running game. Like again on Saturday, it was ugly weather. It was drizzling out, all that. Like if you don't have a good run game, this type of weather, like it's going to be again like almost like a Northwestern type game where it's just ugly all around. However, but like with this game, we dominated the line of scrimmage, able to run the ball, and this team last year wouldn't be able to do that, I don't think. So.
This situation last year would have destroyed that team even more than it already did. Like we did not have the depth at the line positions that we do now. I mean, it really, like I said last week, given the turnover that we might have, it makes me feel really good going into 23. I mean, 1 sack in the last 8 quarters of football. Again, it's Indiana and Maryland, but that's still impressive nonetheless. As you can see, Maryland gave up 7 in 1 game. So.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, looking back the past few years, like teams like this, our starting offensive line would still be giving up way too much pressure to these teams. So the fact that we could put a Band-Aid offensive line out there and still put out a really good product is evidence to like what this team might be.
Yeah,
So-
I mean there was still pressure, but Clifford did a good job of getting around it.
Yeah.
But
They only had 3 QB hurries and 3 tackles for loss. So
look at you with the stats now.
Thanks ESPN.
Rubbing off on him
2 seconds ago.
Hey, were you guys surprised to see Singleton kind of start off the game and really kind of take a majority of the carries early on?
Yeah, I mean, Singleton was just such a stud. Like, I got an ad here playing in my ears on ESPN's website. But anyways, Singleton was just a stud, man. I mean, it's funny because I look back a couple episodes and we were talking about how Katron is just looking better to this point in the season, and we had the whole IMG versus Governor Mifflin debate, and then Singleton comes out and like again, Katron did nothing this week that was like bad. He was also very good, but Nick Singleton just stole this like that huge run he had for a touchdown there on 4th and 1, and then that just man of a run that he had where he just drug a defender with him the whole way to the end zone, like crazy awesome.
It's cool to watch him grow up too, like throughout the season. Like at the beginning of the season, we were saying about how he bounces outside too much, all this stuff, and again, it's coaching. Now during this game, I think all of his runs were between the tackles, like his big runs, and they were in that like cool T formation, and you take a 4th and 2 or 4th and 1 play, and he goes however many yards for a touchdown. So,
well, I think it was by far his most mature performance early in the season, and even like honestly, like up until this week, when he runs the ball, it was point A to point B, and can he get to point B faster than everybody else? That's pretty much what it was. This game, he was, like you said, running in the tackles. He's running guys over. He's got better vision. He's shifty. He can get around guys. Like it was just an all around like really, really good performance. Had more rushing yards on 4th down than Maryland had rushing yards in total. 72-60. So like it was just a very good performance.
Him lowering that shoulder this week was like the biggest difference, where I feel like earlier in the season, that's where he tries to do something fancy, sort of Saquon like, where he's just trying to avoid a contact at all.
He's jump cutting and then he's standing up tall, but now he's shoulder
and sometimes
down.
that, a lot of times I feel like that leads to from that. Obviously, if you make the guy miss, good things can happen, but most of the time you don't. And it leads to, instead of that forward momentum getting you an extra couple of yards, you're actually losing a couple of yards trying to make a move like that. So I think that was the biggest difference with him this week. And by doing those things, I mean, it will lead to those big breakout runs, which we did see.
Yeah. And kind of like everything you guys are saying, and then just seeing him fall forward to top it all off. I mean, he's going forward. He's not really getting put back. He's kind of just, taking everyone down and then falling forward. So that was good to see. The one thing I will say that I was kind of disappointed in is he had another opportunity to catch a ball in the flat, and he dropped that. So that would be something I'd like to see him and Allen. Hopefully the scheme changes where we get to see a little more of that, maybe going into next year too. But I think that's something I'd like to see them complete and work on. I mean, Saquon was good at doing that, and even Miles too.
The coaches should probably try practicing that.
I think so. I think so. Tell them in the game, hey, you got to catch those. I think that would be key.
It's a good strategy, but
put it as one of your keys,
Matt,
please.
You're saying about how Maryland had less rushing yards during the game than Nick had on 4th down runs. I know we're getting to pick your plate then, but you and Winnie took the over 300 Maryland total yards for the game this past week, and you guys were only off by like 170 yards. So close.
You win some, you lose some. That's why I don't like to make predictions, because who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to throw one more thing in on the running backs with Allen. The one play that just stands out in my mind with his vision and his ability to be shifty and get those gaps. I think it was in the 3rd quarter where Clifford gave him the handoff from the shotgun, and it was one of those situations where the defender just blew through and should have been tackled for a loss right away. And from a dead stop, Singleton just plants 1 foot and just gets right around. That was awesome. Like that was just such a cool play to watch, and it was right in front of our line of sight down near the 35, and it was just really cool to see. So, all right. Sorry, moving on. Well, I guess we probably have to talk about Drew Alar again. He's forcing our hand. Honestly, kind of wasted the time that they had with him this week, I think.
Yeah. And honestly, it was just one of those games where it was hard to take a bad performance out of it. Like you just said, Matt, sort of the way we used him and when we brought him in, and then, when we brought Christian in, and then also just the weather getting near the end of the game there was just a mess. The wind was picking up. It was blowing rain. I don't think you could take much out of Drew Allar's performance this week.
How
I think-
early would you guys have preferred to see him go in? Like at what point? I feel we put him in too late, in my opinion. Because I was
I would have liked to see him start the second half, but
you could have even gone earlier than that. Arguably.
Franklin said directly in his press conference, they put him in at a time where they felt the game was out of hand, which tells me that there is very, very little trust in Drew Allar right now with that coaching staff. Like the fact that Franklin directly said the reason he didn't come in was not like for anything beyond they wanted to make sure the game was out of hand tells me the coaching staff doesn't fully trust him yet. And whether, you agree or disagree with that, that's blatantly what Franklin pretty much said.
Yeah. Which is telling because honestly, I was saying in our group chat, put him in when it was 21-0. I mean, at that point, Maryland had 24 yards of offense. Like you could have put one of us in there and we couldn't have screwed that up, I don't think.
And I agree because to me, it had nothing to do with Drew Allar. I mean, our defense was that dominant to me that like you could have brought him in at 21-0 and our defense was so suffocating. We weren't giving up 21 points to that Maryland team. So I thought they should have brought him in, but like Franklin's press conference to me was interesting how he blatantly, directly said that in his post-game press conference.
Yeah, that stood out to me too. The other thing that when I was listening to some of the recaps today, that was getting under my skin a little bit, is people going after Clifford for not playing a good game, which he really didn't play a good game. He missed throws, everything. And then when they talk about Allar, it's like, the weather and all these situations, like,
yeah,
it's got to apply to both.
It's been that double standard all season. It's like, and that's one thing that irritated me the most. I said, praise them both, complain about them both, but do it equally. Like at the end of the day, they should be held to the same standard. We want to win. We want to go out there and win. You could say, oh, Drew Allar's a freshman. Okay, that may be a reason, but if he's making those things because he's a freshman, then maybe he shouldn't be out there. Like, just keep the same standard for both quarterbacks, I think is the fairest way to go about it.
I also feel like Clifford, again, you catch all the game. I feel like it's a game where Clifford didn't need to have a good game. I mean, we rushed from 250 some yards and had over 5 yards of carry. So like, I feel like it's those games too where he's like, put Drew or Sean in there. They're gonna have to jump off the stat sheet anyway. You just give the ball to Nick and Katron and have them fall forward for 6 yards and do it again the next play. Was it ugly?
I agree.
Weather, cold,
I think stuff. Exactly. I think early on it was clear this is one of those games where our defense isn't going to give up points. Our offense just has to do what they can to keep the clock moving and just keep the game going in the direction we want it to. And I think that was evident pretty early on.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like I'm just past the point in this season where every single performance you're analyzing it to like, all right, well, how would that work against Michigan or Ohio State or whatever? Like we're past that point in the season. If you get the young
Wasn't
guys,
that your last call
time,
question?
Well, no, that's just food for thought.
That's your exact last call question, or wants to be the last call question.
It's food for thought. But no, like what I mean is like I'm not looking at these performances like, oh, well, Clifford played a bad game. He needs to do this, that, or the other thing. Like if we win, we win. Like that's all that matters at this point. Like I don't care if he goes out there and throws 1 yard for 1 yard the whole game. Like if we win the game, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So one thing that's impressed me, and you guys may feel the same way, was that Drew showing his mobility again. We hammered him so much early on, but again, he had a decent little run, I believe, to get the first down at one point, and I was just impressed to see him even, moving and grooving the way he was. Yeah. I wish he would have maybe slid instead of.
I thought both quarterbacks the past couple of games have done a good job of managing the pocket and getting out of a pocket when it's messy, getting rid of the ball. Like I think both of them have done a decent job. Obviously, Clifford's getting a lot more reps, so he's going to be in a lot more situations, a lot more sticky situations. But I think they both got a lot better with that.
I know I mentioned this after the Auburn win, but who would have thought again at this point in the season where we're critiquing our passing game instead of our rushing attack, like after last year's abysmal performance. So
I
Yeah,
had
just-
I had
it's-
optimism, Kyle.
I
That's
got
good.
I have nothing else on Maryland. I'm not sure if anyone else had
I-
anything to throw out there.
I have one thing real quick. I saw some of the Penn Live guys after the game were saying about how, joking around, saying that there was more fans like end of the third quarter through the fourth quarter in the stadium still than like at an average Maryland home game. That was pretty funny. Like, a lot of people toughed it
Yeah.
out in the cold, it's raining
Pe-
sideways, all that
People
stuff.
did, although at the right in the near the end of the fourth quarter when it got like really windy and the rain started to come down hard, that stadium emptied. Like we stayed to the very end, and it was probably the smallest number of students I've ever seen remaining in Beaver Stadium. Like even because most games, I mean, student section empties out, but you have your diehard students, like guys like us, that we stayed till the end every single game as a student. Didn't matter what the score, what the weather was. We stayed till the alma mater. This game was the fewest number of students I ever like. There was a handful of rows remaining in the student
But
section.
I think it's still funny that you can still have that many people, including students in the stadium, and still have more people in the stadium than like the average Maryland home game. So
Yeah, no, I mean it was a great crowd for the all things considered. I mean the weather was not pleasant and still a
No.
great crowd. And Franklin's post game press conference, I mean he went on a very long. He was asked about it a couple times, but like he very passionately talked about that, how it was impressive to see even in those conditions.
and I also thought it was funny. I think towards the end of the fourth quarter, there we were like the stadium got loud when Maryland was driving a little bit. They had like a 4th and 1, 4th and 2, whatever, towards the end of the game to keep the shutout. And those few thousand fans are still in the stadium were loud on 4th down, and Maryland turned the ball over and whatever. So everyone still cares about the last 5 minutes of the game, whatever.
Kyle, that was funny, but those fans in no way affected that.
Like,
Go.
I like to think
it was a fun, sarcastic moment, like as
I
if
like
we
to-
did, but
I like to-
obviously we didn't.
we made a difference. I like to think we made a difference.
Let him have his moment. But that jogs my memory. Last week we talked about the red zone being important. That turnover on downs on that 4th down play was only play that Maryland ran in our red zone the entire game. So, then otherwise, I just wanted to give a shout out to Jake Pinniger, Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week, 3 for 3 on field goals, another 50-yarder. Apparently, he just needs bad weather to do that. And
50 yards, 46 yards. I mean, he's been good. As he was lining up for, I don't remember which field goal. It was either the 46-yarder or the 21-yarder. Literally, as they're getting ready to snap the ball, John starts talking about how much of a lock Pinniger's been. I went to punt. I'm like, that's not the time when you talk about a kicker being a lock. Like, and thank God he made it. But
John, leave us a comment and tell us why you did that. Why would you even think to do that, John? Come on. All right, Maryland or Rutgers time.
Yeah. So I just want something general, not specific to Maryland, but what do you guys think is one of the biggest differences that we've seen between Brent Pry and Manny Diaz so far? To me, I think it's something that sort of we haven't really talked about much, but I think our tackling is so much better under Manny Diaz than it has been under Brent Pry. I mean, obviously, you're still going to have missed tackles, but I remember it being such a huge problem under Brent Pry. Like consistently, we'd have a guy tackled and he'd break a tackle and go for 10 more yards, or yards after contact I felt like 5 yards every time. I feel like that's gotten so much better.
I agree with that.
Since the Michigan game, up until the Michigan game,
Early in the season, you're definitely going to have that, especially the way college football is now, right? Because you're not hitting hard at practice. It's just no one in the country is doing it. You're going to have that earlier in the season, but I still think earlier in the season, it happened. It happened for sure. I still don't think it was to the same extent that it happened under Brent Pry. Like to me, that was one of his biggest downsides. Was I felt like his team were just not like aggressive tacklers.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's true. No, I was just gonna agree. That's true. Go ahead.
I'll just say one thing I think was we always complain about how when we run a screen pass, we get nothing. But like when other teams run screens on us, like a quick wide receiver screen, they get like 6-7 yards. I feel like this year, like with our secondary and better tackling, I feel like we haven't given up that many big screen plays.
Our corners have done a tremendous job of fighting through a block on a wide receiver screen and making the tackle. I mean, I remember Kalen King specifically, like a couple plays where he just single-handedly
He shot through the
burned right through his block and
Strung it out.
made the tackle. I feel like our corners have done a great job with that this year.
And there are times on those plays where if they don't make the tackle, like it's going for a big gain. So that's been
and like
huge.
last year when we missed those tackles, it goes for 10+ yards.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the biggest thing overall, just aggressiveness.
Yeah.
On, you know, and every facet. So
defensively,
yeah. All right. Let's
move
make
on
the,
to the
let's make this quick.
The worst state in existence, or maybe the second. That's a debate between Ohio and Jersey, I guess.
It's a toss up for sure. New York's got to be in there too. But
yeah. Schumann's not a big Rhode Island fan either, I heard.
I'm nothing against Rhode Island.
Kyle probably has like a random hatred for like Wyoming.
Yeah.
I would say I'd say I have New York, Ohio, New Jersey. I'd say I hate New Jersey the most.
There goes all of our New Jersey listeners.
Yeah.
All of our 6 New Jersey listeners.
Oh, one real quick, hate to jump back here, but so a couple of coworkers of mine, I work in Maryland, so some Maryland grads and Maryland fans, and they were talking about like, the talent gap between Penn State and Maryland, and hence the blowout. I was like, well, to be fair, half our team is from Maryland. So, I mean, to close that talent gap, you just got to recruit in your own state. And I was showing them the billboards that Penn State tweeted out a little while ago with like the different players from different regions. And I showed them the Maryland billboard, and it seriously feels like half the team's on it.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah. And so that's always, I'm sure those guys always have a special place in their heart to go back and beat up on Maryland, being that they're from Maryland.
Yeah, you could tell Chop wanted that one, but all right, now I'm really getting into Rutgers. We're doing it.
Wait, Matt, wait.
We could keep Rutgers to 5 minutes. They're not worthy of our time.
I forget if it was Winnie or Matt that put in the group chat, but Abdul, after Chop had his second against Maryland, like on the coverage, like he gave like the 2 up when Chop had his second against Maryland and went right to the Maryland sideline, a little taunting fashion. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, you could tell he wants it, but all right, we're doing it. Rutgers 4-6 wins against Boston College, Wagner, Temple, Indiana. Losses against everybody: Iowa, Ohio State, Nebraska, Minnesota, Michigan, Michigan State. Greg Schiano is 0-2 since he's come back to Rutgers against Penn State. He was the coach from 2001 to 2011. I'm not doing that research, so can assume that Rutgers had a bad record against Penn State during that time too, although we probably didn't play. Did we play any of those games? Actually, no, I don't think so off the top of my head because they were in the Big East. But anyway, Rutgers is 85th in Football Power Index. They are the second to last team in the Big Ten. So, yeah, let's just kick it off with Rutgers offense. As we said, they are not very good at all. Only 2 areas that I look at where they're above the top 100 in FPS. Rushing yards per game, they're 87th, and red zone offense, they're 99th. Everything else, they are near the bottom of the country. So should be another dominant performance for the defense.
You should be able to insert our clips from the past few games about what we're looking to get out of this game. Throw them in here. I mean, it's another one of those games.
Honestly, it should be a lot worse. So they made a transition to the sophomore quarterback. Gavin Wimsett. He's the highest quarterback prospect they've had at Rutgers ever as a former 4-star, but growing pains are coming on strong now. 49% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Not good. The line is not very good. They struggle pass blocking, rush blocking. Wimsett struggles under pressure. It should just be, pin your ears back and run downhill.
It should be, yeah. I think we pick a number, whatever number we want to see on the scoreboard at the end of the game, we're gonna have it. The only thing that I would just hesitate is that I know they gave Michigan some fits a few weeks ago. I think it was just Michigan was sleepwalking
till halftime. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It was like part of the game, and then Michigan's like, oh wait, we're like 12 times better than this team. We're gonna open it up.
And Michigan has done that. Like pretty much in every game this year, where they've sleptwalked up until halftime, and as we
we're a college football playoff team probably. So
yeah, as we know, they come out.
I was looking at Rutgers scores earlier and seeing that Iowa put up 27 on them. And I thought to myself, wow, like, if Iowa could put up 27, like, I better look into that and see. It was only one offensive touchdown. The others were defensive.
So it was a normal Iowa offensive output.
Yeah, they had a pick six and then a scoop and score. So,
man.
Hey, Iowa offense has come on in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
But,
so at first I felt really good. Like, well, if Iowa could put up 27, and then I was like, well, I better look into that. And good thing I did.
Well, honestly, I had the opposite kind of reaction. When I was looking through and I was looking at Rutgers defense, like, actually statistically they're pretty good. They're like 18th in yards per game, 20th in passing yards per game. They're right with us neck and neck at 45 and 43 in rushing yards per game. And like, you think about how good our run defense has been, like, okay. But then you look at how they've done against Michigan and Ohio State, and both teams rush for over 250 yards. So yeah, I think there's some padding of stats going on early in the year.
I mean, the Big Ten is bad. Take away 3 teams. The Big Ten is bad. It's not good for us. It's not good for the conference. But
I mean, hell, the Big Ten West has 4 teams that can still win the conference right now. I think it is. I think I saw on an article this morning.
Because Purdue won, right?
It's
Northwestern
like Purdue
was officially eliminated last week. So
I think like with like a probability of more than like, I think it's like 8%. It's like Purdue, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Illinois all have like a chance still to win the Big Ten West. And it just gets smoked by Ohio State or Michigan. So
yeah. I mean, it's bad. The Big Ten West is atrocious. There's never been a stronger argument for getting rid of divisions and just going with the 2 best teams, because Michigan and Ohio State should be playing back to back. They should be playing that final game of the year, and then they should rerun it again in the Big Ten championship. The fact that we're gonna have to watch Ohio State play a team like it's going to be terrible.
Well, you just assume that Ohio State's going to make it to the Big Ten championship, huh?
Or Michigan. Yeah, I do think Ohio State beats Michigan, or Michigan. Either one of those teams should not have to play any team from the West in the Big Ten championship. Like, it's doing no one any favors.
Agreed.
No, certainly does not. But Big Ten in their almighty wisdom are just going to run it back again and again. Could have just got rid of it for next year. Wouldn't have been that hard. Pac-12 did it. Literally not that hard.
Yeah, it's literally not so easy to do. You just say you're not doing it anymore.
The Pac-12
affects nothing.
Pac-12 shooting themselves in the foot with their playoff chances too, with what happened this past weekend. But that's for another time.
Yeah. Well, we lined up last week, and I said that the Pac-12 can either have a one-loss conference champion or go chaos scenario, and I think they chose chaos. But one other thing on Rutgers that I wanted to throw out, and we can kind of probably just move on because we've hit everything else. But if Penn State gets into the red zone, they will score. Rutgers is dead ass last in the country in red zone defense. They haven't gotten a stop all year long. I don't know if the Blue Band's going in this game, but if we get inside the 20, just start playing.
I've been very happy with our red zone offense. This will be the week where we put up an egg.
Yeah, probably.
Pinnacle will be like 7 of 8 for field goals this week.
Every time we go to Rutgers, like I was at the game back in 20, I think it was 14 or 15, when it was like 13-10, or that really, really ugly game. Like the first time we returned back to Rutgers, and actually saw Trent there at the game. And every time we go to Rutgers, I always feel like I hope it's not this game over again, because that was just an ugly performance all around, like an ugly Big Ten game. But then I think since that game, we're like, I think we're undefeated against Rutgers since then, right? Well, I think we're undefeated against them since.
I love that game, Kyle, because Rutgers was beating us at halftime, if I remember right, or it was a very close game, and Rutgers fans were in your face the whole time because they were fresh to the Big Ten.
There's stupid New Jersey people just screaming
to that point. It was, I think that was their record-breaking crowd, and they were just all in your face, and then it got
record-breaking 52,000 people there. Yeah, Trent.
Yeah, me and Kyle are doing that this weekend. It's catchy.
Well, I think we should move on because there's not much to say about this.
Yeah, we give more analysis on their third down dance than I do in the actual game, because I can give 2 shits about Rutgers. Honestly, I don't really care. No, seriously,
we're a family show. Stop it.
Keep it respectful, please.
Stop it.
Yeah, who cares? It's just Rutgers. It's like a bug on your shoe.
I hope one day that your future boss went to Rutgers and
Yeah.
finds this, and then just makes your life
Good.
a living hell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
his
send the
fault for
clip to
going
him.
his fault for going to Rutgers or her fault for going to Rutgers?
All right, Coco, let's get into pick your plate. Let's do this.
All right, pull these up here. So last week I went 5-1-0. Trent also went 5-1-0. Matt went 4-2-0. Woody also went 4-2-0. So a good week for
Not
the boys. Brings us to 145, 11, and 8. I sent you guys that snippet earlier.
Wait. Say it again. 145, 11, and 8. I mean, we're pretty good.
145, 11, and 8. No, I'm serious. That's what we are right now.
No, we're
We're
not.
not.
We're not.
No, we only have 11.
Guys, we're 145.
No, we're
11.
not.
Kyle,
we're not.
I went 0-6 1 week myself.
Trent, I promise you, this is what the formulas are showing on the Excel file. So we'll have John go win and
Kyle, you can't. Someone's got to click in your head,
Kyle,
though.
we would have 1 million views in every episode.
Guys,
Josh Pay would be calling us,
Matt,
Kyle.
I'm
We are
38.
not-
Guys, listen, I'm 38, 26, and 2. Trent's 34.
Wait, you
36.
just said you're
38,
You have
26.
How do we have 11 losses if you have 26?
38, 26, and 2.
Oh, 111, I said. Did I say 111?
No, you kept saying 11.
Oh, I'm sorry, 111. I'm sorry.
11, and 8.
111. Sorry,
There you
111.
go. There you go.
Hey, if anyone's looking for an accountant or needs their taxes done, Kyle's an accountant. Just throwing that out there.
Only CPA here. But
It's
but however,
it's what the Excel formula said.
for if we break that down even further, if we take well we get our bets from the Barstool Sportsbook, we're as an aggregate 127, 88, and 8 on those bets. But Coco Sportsbook, we're 18, 23, and 0. So I'm actually harder than Vegas. So Coco Sportsbook's making money here.
I take a chance on you,
Those are
Kyle.
Bad lines.
The lines are bad. If the lines are
Yeah.
bad, you should be able to pick the right side of it.
Uh,
No, they're just bad. You change them. I'm not. I have
Yeah.
no doubt in my mind that you're just canceling bets and changing things left and right.
Just pocket money, make like a
Yeah.
Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
But we'll
Who
get into
knows a
the
thing or two about that.
all right. What do we got this week?
the games here. First game's our game. We're favored by 20 at Rutgers. We'll get into score predictions like we always do. Matt, you want to lead us off for that one?
Yeah, I got 38-10. Came very close. 38-10. I came very close to predicting a shutout. But I'm just gonna hedge a little bit on that. But I don't see this being much of a contest at all.
Winnie?
I'm gonna go 45-3.
Oh,
I like that. 45-3 has got a good ring to it.
I'll go 38-3. I think it's just going to be another just start to finish this beatdown of Rutgers. Trent?
Yeah, I'd be surprised to see another shutout. I mean, shutouts are not easy to do in college football. I do think I don't see how we don't cover. Like, this team is just playing such great football, complimentary football, as James Franklin would like to say. I don't see how we don't cover.
And the over-under for that game is 45.5. With my score prediction, I'm thinking the game goes under the 45.5. Matt, what was your score again?
He
I
took
would
the
be-
over. He had
Yeah, I would be
48,
over.
and I had
Yeah.
48.
Yeah.
So it's over. Trent?
I got you.
Over.
Matt. I'm listening to you.
Over.
All right. Do you want to do any more breakdown of this game? I think we covered everything on it.
Well, let's do our Coco Sportsbook bet. Just throw it in there while we're talking about it.
We're going to do, I got Penn State first half team total over under 20.5.
Over.
Over?
I think over.
Yeah, I think over in the first half.
To try to get
Yeah.
Drew
Yeah,
in.
I mean,
Clean
it's
sweep
good. I think
there.
it'll be similar to Maryland, where we put up a lot of points early in the second half. You're putting a lot of bench guys in, and you're just not even trying to score. Honestly, you're just trying to run the clock out.
Work on some things.
Taking the foot off the gas a bit, just naturally what happens. Got 3 non-Penn State games this week. We got Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, their annual Bedlam game. This is the last time before Oklahoma goes to the SEC. That over under 64.5, and I believe Oklahoma is favored by a touchdown in that game. That's the last I saw.
Hmm.
When do you want to lead us off for that?
I'll take the over.
I think Woody just hammers overs every single week.
I love overs. I don't know.
He's big points guy.
Big points guy. I am. It's the way the game's going these days.
Matt,
Under. Both teams haven't hit an over this high in over a month. So, both of their defenses have taken a step back from what we're used to, but I think they get enough here.
Trent.
Yeah, these rivalry games I feel like can be hard fought a lot of times, and some crazy stuff happens. But I think I like the under.
Under. I think between this game and also like the Texas Oklahoma game, I just like always blindly bet the over because I think it's just like one of those like weird high scoring Big 12 games where I don't care what the totals also go over it. USC is favored 1.5 at UCLA. Again, Pac-12 shot themselves in the foot last week with their title chances, but USC still has a chance to get there. Matt, what do you think for that one?
I mean, USC has the best chance even before last week happened. So, this really could be a toss-up, I think. But I'm going to go with USC. They definitely haven't been challenged to this point. I don't think the one time it's even close, they lost. But I think they know how much this game means, and they know what's ahead of them. So I think they get this one.
Trent?
This is a Big Ten matchup, so that's be some low scoring. No, I think UCLA.
I'm following Trent and going with UCLA too.
Well, I'm gonna fade Winnie because why the hell not?
He's been good.
Yeah,
I've been better.
Who's in first? You.
I am in first. We'll have John audit it. Relax, guys.
Of course.
That's how I know it's.
We're all winners. We have 11 losses on a full season of bets.
Yeah.
Now for an actual Big Ten game, again, the ugly bet of the week is Iowa, Minnesota. That over under is 32.5, and I think Iowa's favored by I think it's like 3 or 5 points, I believe, in that game. So
Iowa's been trending up lately, haven't they?
Yep.
It's because their offense is putting up instead of one touchdown, they're putting up 2 touchdowns a game.
Yeah,
for that, might get himself an extension. So I'm going over.
You got to lock him in while he's hot.
Yeah, I'm going over. This is a low number, I think.
Yeah, that's a very low number, and like I said, I thought Iowa was trending upwards. Minnesota has potential.
Sorry, actually, Minnesota's favored by 3, not Iowa.
That
difference.
No, that makes sense though. But no, I like the over.
I'm just gonna go under because I just want to see it hit. So everyone else picked over.
Yeah, I'll take over.
All right.
Just assuming I'm taking over.
Coco's gonna hand us our 12th loss of the bets.
But I think but the fact that we're 145, 111 and 8 is pretty nuts. Even with stupid Coco bets, which you guys haven't been doing the best on, but it's just cool. I don't know. We're better than Vegas.
You said it yourself, stupid Coco bets. So, all right, last call. Who wants to kick us off?
I still gotta think of my question.
Oh man!
Okay. Oh, actually, no. I thought of a question right now. Actually, I thought of it
right now. Go with it. Run with it.
So quick. Why you got?
Hurry up before he forgets.
All right. Right now, who do you want to see in the national championship? What's your ideal matchup right now?
I want to see Ohio State, and I don't know. Georgia would be fun, but I'm sort of over Georgia. I think it'd be a lot more fun to see a team like Tennessee play Ohio State, something like that. Avoid a rematch.
That's they said on Unnecessary Roughness that if it was Tennessee Ohio State in the fourth quarter, it would be 52-52 with 9 minutes left. That'd be pretty fun. I would see Georgia and Michigan, see if Michigan would have half a pulse this time compared to last year, but we'll see. Matt, what would yours be?
Yeah, I don't want to see any Big Ten teams in because my stomach can't take that. So,
I'm the opposite. I'm rooting hard for Ohio State. I just hate Michigan.
Let's cut that. Let's cut that.
Go ahead. It's true. I think the way conferences are going now, I think we need to be a little more SEC like and cheer on our conference. I hate Harbaugh. I don't hate Ohio State or Ryan Day. I sort of like the team they have. Nothing to hate. I'm rooting for Ohio State.
Notorious Ohio State fan Trent Williams.
I would probably say TCU, Tennessee. Let's throw that in there. Teams that Probably will
That'd have, like,
definitely.
zero.
Well,
That'd have,
not
like,
well.
zero
Well, not.
viewership.
I'll watch it. That's all that matters. It's not going to happen anyway, but it'd be interesting.
Winnie,
I think it's going to be Georgia. Michigan, I think Michigan's a little bit better than Ohio
Yeah.
State.
But we're talking about who we want to see winning.
Yeah,
Well,
not
I
who
know
you
that's.
think.
I
Who
don't
do you
really want
want
to see. I want to see Penn State, but that's not an option. So,
Fair answer.
all right, who's
Everyone
next?
answer.
Yeah.
yeah.
Winnie.
All right.
All
Winnie's
right.
next.
So I was listening to Josh Pate today, and he was talking about Sonny Dykes a little bit, and the horned was there the horned frogs? Yeah,
Yes.
I was have to try to remember that one, the horned frogs. So he was talking about it and just kind of going on and saying, how great he is, and talking about their roster and everyone on there, and just in terms of skill and the facility and all that, and they're getting these big wins done without all those things. Do you guys think it's a fluke to a degree, or do you think that he's real deal? And do you think it could be duplicated for other teams? I mean, we always talk about how we don't have the facilities, or possibly under talented to a degree, but I mean, he's kind of proven a lot of that wrong. So
I think it's one of those things where it's kind of like Northwestern, where every few years they come and have that perfect team all together, where it all comes together with.
Yeah.
Again, they're underinvested with talent and facilities, but if you have that hot team with a lot of seniority, a lot of talent, a mixture of seniority and talent, it comes together and culminates into them winning
I
a
agree.
conference like that.
Yeah, so I mean, regardless of how their season finishes up, I mean, do you think that they can repeat this, or do you think it truly is just a one-off season for them?
I think any team can catch lightning in a bottle. To say that they're going to be, irrelevant, I wouldn't go that far, but anyone could be good in any given year, regardless of facilities, regardless of donations, all that kind of stuff. But to do it year in and year out, I think that's where you need to have that. I think that's where that stuff comes in and really matters.
Yeah, and TCU has gotten lucky a couple times this year where they've had backup quarterbacks come in and everything. And I mean, even just looking that conference itself, Baylor last year goes from the worst team in the conference to winning the championship, and then everyone expects them to be right back in the hunt this year, and they're 8-4 now, 8-5. So yeah, it can.
And since we're on it, man, Quinn Ewers this weekend did not play well in a big stage.
No,
he was. That Bama game and everything, he seemed like, oh my God, he's as good as advertised. And then this weekend, anyone could have a bad game, but it was not good.
Yeah. While we're in the state of Texas, other than talking about Penn State football, the one team that brings me so much joy to talk about is Texas A&M. I just love watching what's happening at Texas A&M this year. It's so
crazy.
Who would have thought during this downfall, the floor for Texas A&M would be missing out in a bowl game? I thought it'd be going 7-6 or
Vanderbilt has a better record.
UConn secured a bowl game this year. A&M can't.
It's so much fun. That top recruiting class ain't gonna be around long.
I think UConn might be 1 win. UConn might have 5. They might be 1 win away from a bowl game, but either way, or they might have 6. I'd have to look.
I thought they got it.
They might have 6.
What is Texas A&M? Do they have 4 wins? They got to win out.
3. They can't go to a bowl. They got that season long.
Yeah, they're done. It's bad. It is so bad. And what makes it great is just how much money Jimbo is being paid.
Yeah, with no buyout. That's great. Trent, go hit us. Let's keep this
all right. So who do you think is our starting running back next year for the first game? And then how many series do you think that running back plays before the other one comes in?
I think it'll be Nick Singleton. And I think it's going to be 1. Now they're doing this thing where it's 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 for the most part, at least early on. But I think early in the season, they'll probably go 1-1 to lead us off. So definitely not going to be London Montgomery. I can say that with pretty high degree.
Wait, does Tank have 1 more year, or is he a senior?
I think he's a senior.
Oh, obviously Tank there for snap, but I'd go Nick for the same reasons Matt said. I think one more offseason. I feel like Nick still. I think Nick is more talented than Katron, but just slowly more developing to give him more vision. All that stuff that we talked about earlier. I think just from a talent perspective, I want to see Nick there first snap of the next season.
How many series do you think he gets before Katron comes in?
2. That sounds good to me. I don't know.
I'm gonna go. I want to say Allen, but part of me is going to say whoever can actually catch the ball in the game. It sounds kind of funny.
Part of Washington.
I know the running backs catching the ball. I'm kind of mixing up on here, but I think that'll be a huge factor to separate those two, right? Whoever can kind of create that ability to catch the ball. Seriously,
I think Winnie's expecting too much.
Winnie,
first you want us to run.
That's your differentiator. You act like they're like.
But, hey, what are we doing? We're running under
handless out there.
We're running under center a little bit now. You know, things are progressing here.
They're gonna put like Liam. They're gonna put Liam Clifford back there and be like,
he can catch. He can catch.
Liam Clifford had a few good plays this past game. A few good catches.
I think he just had one.
He only had one catch.
It was good. It was good. It was great.
It was a solid catch though.
Yeah, he caught it.
He said, well, he had catches the past few games. He's got
one more than Nick Singleton.
To be fair, I think we barely had, and I think that outside of the tight ends, I don't know if we had many people with more than one catch. We had a lot of one reception receivers.
To a degree, that's why I think it's important for next year. I guess we can maybe say that for the next episode. I'll hush up. I'll talk about next episode. But I say 3 series, maybe. I don't know if he's got the hot hand. I think
until they drop the ball.
Until they drop the ball, or he bounces it.
Yeah. I'm with Matt on this. I know what Matt's saying. They're sort of doing the 2 and 2 right now. If both of these backs look like they do this season, I think it's a coin flip. Like either of them could start. I could see to start the season maybe Singleton, but I could see Katron starting next year and Singleton starting next year, alternating. Like if they're both performing like they are,
it goes to.
Sorry, Matt.
No,
I was gonna say we do in the deal, and we rotate guys in every series to keep them fresh. I mean, hell, why can't we do the running back position? Where I know you say hot hand maybe a little bit different at running back, but I mean these guys 100% every other series. Like I'm fine for that. If they're neck and neck.
Yeah. I mean, can we do you all agree that like take away injuries that not one running back starts every game next season?
Yeah.
Like I have a hard time seeing a single running back get the start for all 12 games next year.
Well, I mean, just look at this past week. Everyone figured that Allen was going to be the starting running back, and then Singleton comes out there and puts up 100.
Maybe you also do that
yards.
for. I know like the running backs seem like they're happy right now, but I think you also do that just to make sure that no one transfers out for some reason.
Yeah, that is it's great for recruiting too. When you could point to these young guys and be like, "Hey, well, we're going to get you in. We're going to get you playing time."
I mean, I think a level that we're not really looking at either. That
except for Joel R, we don't get him playing time.
Even though Allen was the hot hand and everything, I think the running backs still are slightly different, right? I mean, Nick's got that breakaway speed, and I think that you kind of scheme on that a little bit, right? You see your opponent and you kind of go off of that to a degree. I think there's still enough differences there to say they're not the same back. So I think that plays into it too.
At the end of the day, I think it's just optics. It's literally who is the first one out in the field. After that, they're both going to play a ton.
I think the offseason will be huge for them too. I mean, right? Let's see how they both improve. And if one of them maybe stays the same where the other one really takes off this offseason, gets stronger.
Very insightful. Offseason will be big for the freshman running backs.
Well,
as long as they can catch the football.
That's the goal. I hope they come out next year.
When he's just going to have them on when he's just going to have them on the jugs machine for hours upon hours.
Hey, Singleton, you know where I'm at.
Well, you got it.
I'm in the 6-1-0.
Got to make the most.
The receivers can't catch a ball all season because the running backs were taking up all
Winnie will put the work in here, but just tell them to come to our tailgate before the game, and we'll throw the ball around with them near the RV. We'll give them some catches.
I think Winnie's overestimating a little bit how bad our running backs are at catching the football. They're athletes. They'll be okay.
I heard the same thing about Brenton Strange all preseason. So.
Well, I think we need to make the most out of the running backs next year because 2024 they're going to be upperclassmen, so they're not allowed to play anymore. We've kind of gone through that, so got to make the most of it while they're sophomores. So, all right, my question for finishing this out, also on the running backs.
About yours.
Well, that's all right. I'm also on the running backs. So Katron Allen has 631 yards so far this year. Nick Singleton now has 108 yards. My question for you is
No, that's wrong.
You're pulling a Coco.
801 yards for Nick Singleton. Katron Allen.
You said 101.
Oh, 801. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
There we
My
go.
bad.
Come on, Matt.
Hey, at
Yeah.
least it took
It's
me
like-
5. At least it took me 5 seconds.
Yeah,
and
but
I
you
didn't
work-
argue.
you work
Sides
for-
the
you
Yeah,
work
lead
you
here.
didn't double down on it 4 times incorrectly.
Yeah, and
You work for
I'm also not an accountant. So
Yeah, you
let's
work for the
take-
you work for the government. You handle my tax dollars. You're even worse.
You're
That's
the
why
one
we-
that's determining
that's
how
why-
many tax
that's why-
dollars I'm getting.
That's why we don't
So-
trust the government in this
so-
podcast. We
All right. Here's what we learned.
So,
Go to Trent. Go to Trent and Winnie with any of your business needs.
Where's John
I
when you
mean,
need him?
I mean, for me, it's just speaking needs. The numbers are right on the page. So
You are a
all
better
right.
speaker.
My question is, who are the other Penn State running backs to go over 1,000 yards as freshmen? And do you think one or both of these running backs gets it this year?
That pause you did there reminded me of the. They say, "Give a fish to a man." We
What
can
was the
insert
question
that
again?
clip, Winnie.
It's all-time video. All-time video.
All right, repeat your question. I was just laughing.
What are the other Penn State freshman running backs to score to get 1,000 rushing yards in their first season? And do you think that either one of these running back gets it this year?
I don't like quiz. Pulling a Coco here with
Yeah,
trivia.
this is super Coco.
I'm gonna go Larry Johnson.
No.
One
How
of them
recent?
should
Is,
be one of them should be so easy. Oh my god.
is Saquon one?
Saquon's one. There's one other one.
Saquon's the easy one.
DJ Dozier.
When he was listening to the same podcast I must have been listening to this morning.
Nah, I looked up an article.
Okay. When he
Nah.
cheats.
I mean, freshman. I was gonna go like Evan Royster, but I don't remember how big he was his freshman year. Like,
Yeah.
So do you think we get it this year? Do we get 2 this year?
that I think that's a tall. Well, including postseason, right?
Yeah, with 3 more games.
Okay, so including postseason,
I think we get one.
I
think
think we get.
both. How far off is
I
Allen?
don't- I-
again? Singleton's like
Allen
less
would
than 200.
Allen would need like 120 yards a game to get that. That's a bit
Yeah.
of a stretch, I think.
Yeah,
but
I don't see Allen just because he's not a big play guy. He's not going to break off a 50-yard run like Singleton can. I don't think Allen can get there, but I think one of them gets there. I mean, I think
Three
it all
games.
they're also hurting each other too, right? If Singleton's having a big game, chances are Allen's not, and vice versa. So they're probably depleting one another.
I mean,
Oh.
if Singleton rips off 200 yards in Rutgers, I mean, do you think they really let Allen just go at it against Michigan State then? I mean, he's not going to probably get it, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think only one of them gets it.
watch Allen's just gonna pop off like 300 yards on Saturday. Right back at this, but
Would have thought at the beginning of the
It
season
is-
we might have 2 running backs over like 800 or 900 yards this season.
So the
Think of it.
crazy thing was though, so at this point in the year, I mean, I shouldn't say at this point in the year, Saquon, when he did it in 2015, he had 182 carries to get the 1076,
before
And
we
he
know
only
when
had-
we know when he can read an article.
and he only had 7
Yeah.
touchdowns. Singleton
Yeah,
has
well, you
gotten
know he can read
800
because
and 123 carries with 10
He-
touchdowns already.
Oh,
Before he read
now
the
you're
ar-
sounding like Matt.
Listen,
Yeah.
before he read the article, when he thought DJ Dozier was a piece of equipment.
He still doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know who he is. All right. I don't have
Was he
anything
a
Wrap
Penn
else.
it up.
State kicker with
Okay,
a
honestly,
1,000
yeah.
yards?
All right, we're getting this under an hour, Winnie, so stop talking. We are Tailgate Talk. Catch us next time. We're going to recap this Rutgers game. Follow us on our socials. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Make us happy. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and don't forget the climb tonight.
Yeah.
Go
Penn State
Birds.
hockey, too.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.